Well, Winchester came out with their new line of rifle scopes and optics, and I decided I wanted to try one. I wanted to know if it was going to be reliable, so I decided to do this test and film it so I can share it with you. I'm going to do a quick unboxing. Comes in a simple case, which I kind of really like. I'm not paying extra for some fancy big case. Again, I paid for this with my own money. Here's your scope. Go over that here in just a second. It just comes with the scope and cleaning cloth, an instruction manual. I've already opened it and looked it over, but I was very impressed with it. As far as the feel, the clicks on the turrets are nice and smooth. On the windage and elevation. And the powering is very smooth. I do really like that. And your diopter is nice and firm. And now for the first test. If you go out hunting with this in the rain, is it gonna get wet? Is it gonna get water inside of it? Got a cooler full of water. Let's see what happens. We're gonna give it 10 minutes. Now to test it and see if it survived the water test. It's been probably about 15 minutes, I think, a little more than that. Clean our lenses off. And it is just as clear as could be. No water got into it. Dry inside there, inside the caps. No water got inside the scope, so it passes the water test. Now let's get it mounted up and see, whoops. Let's get it mounted up on the rifle and do some more torture testing and see if this thing holds up. Alright, and I got our box set up to do a tracking test to see if the scope tracks properly. Alright, I got the scope mounted up in these Warne Maxima scope rings, the QD scope rings for the testing. These are some of my favorite. The scope tracks absolutely perfect. Alright, now we got the scope sighted in, and let's go take 3 shots just for confirmation. Alright, well, we did pretty good. There's our baseline. We got 4 shots in there instead of 3 in a pretty good group. So now we're going to remove the scope from the rifle and try this again. Alright, now to test the rings, I'm going to remove the scope. I'm going to remove the scope from the rifle to test how well these rings return back to 0, and then we're going to shoot again at the same target. Alright, scope's back on. Here's our target. We now have 7 rounds in it, and as you can tell, those Warne scope rings return to 0 every single time you take the scope on and off. Now let's go do our next test. So we got the scope here, and I just want to remind everybody that I purchased this with my own money. This is not something Winchester sent to me to test. It's not something they asked me to do. I'm doing this with my own money. So I want to see, don't want to scratch it up, so I'm going to cover it up. I also don't want to get dirt into the rings to mess up the return to 0. So I put it in here and we're going to test it. There, that simulates us being out hunting, dropping our rifle, banging around in the car, whatever else it takes. Now let's put it back on the rifle and see if it held 0. Alright guys, we got a brand new target up. Let's see what happens. Alright guys, look at that right there. That is just unreal. I would say that that Winchester scope absolutely holds up as a hunting rifle scope, and I give it 2 thumbs up. Alright guys, that concludes our testing that we did on the Winchester scope today. Here's the box. If you want to pause and look that over, there's also some information on the other side. And I also want to give a shout out to Warne Rings. Again, they don't pay me. I'm not sponsored by them. I bought these with my own money. These are their return to 0 Maxima mounts. They are absolutely amazing. I've got several sets of these, and we took this scope off twice today, put it back on with absolutely 0 shift in the 0 of the rifle. They worked absolutely perfect. And this Winchester scope absolutely holds up to my expectations of it. If you want to see more scope reviews like this, please let me know. And if you have any other scopes that you would like to have tested. Thank you.